Join me to paint an easy tulip flower using watercolors. Here is the sketch needed for this painting. You can download this sketch from the link given in the description. I start by wetting the sketched area of the tulip flower. We are going to use wet on wet technique to paint the tulip flower. I mix lemon yellow with small amount of ultramarine blue to paint the first layer of the stem and leaves. After applying the pigment, I tilt the board and allow the pigment to flow on all the wet areas. I have about 50% of control over the pigment with my brush. For the remaining 50%, I allow the pigment to flow freely and create a granulation effect for the leaves. To allow the pigment to flow freely, I tilt the board as in the video. After applying first layer, next I'm applying a second layer using ultramarine. You can see some of the pigment entered at the base of tulip flower. I'm completely okay with that. I allowed it as it is. Place a book or a box under the board so that the pigment can move across freely on all wet areas. Also, I tilt the board to have some control over the pigment where it has to flow. This time I'm being careful to ensure that the paint doesn't enter the tulip petals. Next I'm applying a third layer using a dark value which is created by mixing ultramarine with Payne's grey. Now it's time to remove any excess pigment on the wet area. I tilt the board on all the excess pigment is wiped using a wastecloth. After that, I am defining the dark areas of the leaf using the mix of ultramarine and Payne's grey. You can observe how the leaves are arranged in the reference picture and take note of the dark values. This will help you to replicate them accurately in our painting. While the paper is still wet, I'm going to paint the petals of the tulip. This is a white tulip flower, so we just have to add the shadow and dark areas of the tulip flower using indigo pigment. Using indigo pigment, I'm adding dark value to distinguish between the leaves. After painting the stem, leaves and flower, I allow the paper to dry completely. Next, we are going to paint the background using wet on wet technique. I wet the areas around the tulip petals, so there will be a background only for the flower. Adding a background only to that white flower will bring the flower into life by providing a contrast. So, for the background, I'm using indigo pigment. While painting the background and defining the edges of the tulip flower, be careful not to paint inside the tulip flower. After painting the background, I tilted the board and allowed the pigment to flow. All the excess pigment that is collected near the tip is wiped using a waistcloth. We reached the end of this painting process. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you in another painting process. Until then, take care and bye bye from Prima.